This passage portrays Satan as one who travels and cannot be simultaneously present in multiple places. So, what did we do? What did we just do with surveillance state? What do you think we really just did with surveillance state? So there's a big debate going on about how Israel cannot be blockaded, but here's the thing: you can't pick sides here. You can't be on both sides. So this is a very dangerous place we're in when we're vying or supporting the mass surveillance state. The country's roots is in one thing, and the mass surveillance state is in another thing. That we cannot know all things at all times. To try to do so is a very dangerous place, and it's going to lead to a very dangerous future. I know it'll definitely get things figured out, but not without some serious, obvious turmoil. And finally, here in First Peter, believers are warned of his activity. Be sober-minded and alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Okay, so adversary. This depiction emphasizes a prowling adversary rather than an all-encompassing presence. His activity is active and location-specific. James underscores that believers resist him, implying Satan's efforts and presence are neither uniform or universal at all times. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Contrast with God's omnipresence, famously proclaimed on Psalms 139, 7-10, that there is nowhere to hide from the presence of God. He is everywhere at all times. This stands in the contrast of any created being, including Satan. No biblical text ever implies, let alone states, that Satan possesses the same boundless presence as God. So that's pretty dangerous. So we do have limitations there with the creations. And then obviously we have the Revelations where it states that Satan is freed from the pits and he's allowed to roam earth. So how is he allowed to do this? There has to be some sort of medium. There has to be some sort of transportation or vehicle that allowed him to do this, because God isn't simply empowering him. So that is going to be it. That's the sum of it. I'll read this other things here, but that would really pretty much encompass my point. Nature of spiritual beings. While angels and demons operate in the realm beyond strict human limitations, Scripture consistently treats them as finite, dependent creatures. Satan, described as fallen angels, participates in the same created order. His power is formidable, yet it is constrained. Nowhere does Scripture confer upon him an attribute reserved for God alone, such as omnipresence, being everywhere, or omnipresence, and omniscience, omniscience. Okay, knowing everything. So the Satan doesn't even have the ability to know everything, but we're generating machines that can. These are what I would call enablers. They're going to definitely lead to, if there was ever a moment in time that would be within our lifetime for something not to know everything, but then to eventually know everything, or at least everything that's knowable in our history, because of course we have database issues, which we're trying to overcome real quickly. No one's excited about it. Historical and theological confirmation. Throughout the history of biblical interpretation, the church has emphasized that omnipresence belongs to God alone. So the church, the biblical interpretation, the church, it's saying, the true church of God, emphasizes that omnipresence belongs to God alone, but you have no outcries coming from locations, bodies of works, certainly not the established bodies of Roman works, that they're not opposed to this omnipresence technology. So early Christian writings attest that Satan's influence is significant. He relies on fallen angels or demonic forces to extend his destructive reach. And so in defense of some churches, they may not make a whole lot of noise about it. They may preach this to, and I hope they're preaching this to their sermons on the basis of where we are in time at biblical history. So there may be some churches that are speaking of it, but They certainly won't make the news because the news is not, it's not controlled by biblical teachings or biblical worldview perspective. So even in the earliest manuscripts, such as fragments that align with canonical gospels, Conan, and epistles found among the Dead Sea Scrolls era communities, there is no suggestion that an adversary figure shares God's omnipresence. So God is God. There is no other being or creature in God's realm and within any reference to the biblical God that would ever suggest that anything can do what God can do. There has to be something that would enable this devil to see things at all times, be places at all times, have the powers to do that. Practical implications and comfort. When Scripture teaches that Satan must roam or prowl, it offers practical comfort. Believers do not face an all-knowing, all-present foe. Instead, they encounter a defeated enemy whose power is on a leash. A leash, it's limited, under God's sovereign hand. Now, and that's another thing, under God's sovereign hand. That's probably why you won't see a lot of sermons preaching this outside of their church, because this is all within God's sovereign hands. The whole Bible explains from the beginning to the end, the Alpha, the Omega, and that is the aspect of the time travel that I would believe it is likely real. Whether it's a time travel that's only theoretical, that someone can see the possibilities, mathematical possibilities, or literally go somewhere. God is the beginning of the end. So God alone is infinite. Satan's influence, and I say end, I said God is infinite here, so he knows the end story and all things. But Satan's influence, while dangerous, is neither unchallenged nor unlimited. Archaeological and manuscript insights. Archaeological findings such as ancient synagogue inscriptions and early Christian art reflect understandings of Satan as a limited accuser, often depicted in localized conflicts with saints or with the church. Manuscript evidence from the earliest copies of the New Testament, and we got the P66, P75, and the Codex Sinaiticus. I'm not really familiar with that. This historical reference is over my head for sure. Consistently preserves the original language that ties Satan's actions to distinct moments and locations. These documents reinforce the textual integrity and the reliability of the biblical teachings that attributes ultimate supremacy only to God. Conclusion. Satan's role as adversary does not grant him equality with God in any respect. So, even if Satan is to obtain any kind of technology, if you will, we are in a different time, or ability to do more things, if you will. There's no equality. So there's still that struggle to do what Satan does. Scripture stands firm in presenting Satan as a finite spiritual being, lacking divine attributes such as omnipresence, whether through Job's depiction of Satan's journeying on the earth or through the repeated New Testament, certainty that believers can resist and overcome him. The biblical testimony affirms that only God is present everywhere at all times. Satan is real, cunning, and active, yet never omnipresent. Okay, so that's never been an attribute. But fast forward, we are being forced to have this surveillance state, and our founders were of the Scripture.